Hey, social media, what's going on? I kind of disappeared and I'm back and I'm going to explain what's been happening and why I left social media. I actually gave up social media for Lent. It was kind of like a twofer. I was struggling with a lot of things going on in my life. My girlfriend like abruptly broke up with me and just could not process stuff anymore. I'm going to forewarn you that this is going to be some very sensitive subject matter, and I apologize for that, but I want to be completely honest with everyone. So, Lent ends today. It's Thursday, April 9th. And 5 weeks ago today, I made the decision to kill myself. And it was not a decision that I came to lightly. For months, I had been struggling with suicidal thoughts. Basically, since moving into my beautiful new apartment, you can see I've got some like paintings in the background or whatever. Since moving into my beautiful new apartment, the further I get from my old life, the harder it gets to cope and accept my new normal. And so, literally since December, it just kept getting louder and louder and louder until I couldn't take it anymore. 5 weeks ago today, it was March 5th, and I was supposed to meet my ex-girlfriend's roommate and take her things back to her. It was also the same day that I fired my therapist I'd been seeing for almost 3 years, and the thoughts had just gotten so loud, and I felt like the world would be a better place without me in it. And I was tired of hurting people and, projecting my pain onto other people, and I really thought that the best way to go about doing that was to take control of it and take myself out of the equation. I basically, came to that decision, sat down, and actually, meticulously planned it out. Went through my options. The first option was, I want to take all my medication and try to overdose? And then I thought, that would probably be slow and painful. It would probably just make me really upset to my stomach, and I'd probably just throw up everything. And so they just didn't seem like my best option. So then option two was to slit my wrists. And I know you're supposed to go down the street, not across. But because of all the trauma I've experienced previously in life, I don't really like blood, and I just figured that'd be really slow, and just really wasn't the most effective way. So then I considered even going and purchasing a gun, and I thought, I'm not really sure what the laws are around that and what kind of, background checks, and I had made up my mind I was going to make it happen on this day. That didn't really seem like the best route to go, and I didn't want to waste any of my last bit of money on a gun that I would only use one time, and I wasn't really sure that anybody else would want it. It dawned on me, I could hang myself, right? So I've had friends that have done that, and I decided that was probably that was going to be the most effective. I know if you do it right, you can break your neck instantly, and so it's really fast and it's really effective. So I started making my plan, and so what I did was, started making a checklist. Okay, I've got rope, I've got a ladder. Okay, where am I going to hang myself, right? So I started, looking around my apartment for like, some kind of, board or some way I could hang myself from the ceiling. And as much as I had loved my apartment when I first moved in, I started getting really angry, and I was really mad because I couldn't find anywhere to make it happen. This apartment I love so much, it's got crown molding and tiled backsplashes, and all of a sudden I'm just furious because I can't find anywhere to do it. And I'm mad at this point because I had made up my mind. I was going to take control. I was done. And so then it dawned on me I had a big, beautiful tree right outside of my bedroom window. And I decided I was going to do it there. And so I started making a list, what do I need to do? So it was like the middle of the day. So I wasn't going to do it in the daytime because I didn't want somebody to see me and stop me, Start making, my list. Okay, so I need to write a suicide note. I need to make sure my finances are in order, who's my beneficiary. and just make sure that stuff is straight, and going through my list. And so then I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna do it in the middle of the night, so nobody can stop me and so nobody sees it. So then, okay, well, what's the next step? Well, so who's gonna find me? So I was like, well, it's not really the best option, but some stranger's probably gonna find me. And but I really was set on doing this, so at that point it didn't matter. The next thing was I was laying in my bed at this point. I mean, bawling my eyes out. I don't know that I've ever cried tears this big. And like one of my puppies moved. And then it dawned on me, well, who's going to take care of them? And, are they going to think I abandoned them? And how long are they going to go before somebody like feeds and waters them? And I literally, at this point, I'm just bawling. I'm shaking uncontrollably. And I cried myself to sleep. And I ended up sleeping for like 16 hours. I woke up. I went to work the next day. It was a Friday. Thoughts still there. And I literally were fighting those thoughts like every day. They're still there. I mean, they're still there today. They're getting quieter, I guess. But, I mean, they're still there. And, so the next day I actually ended up telling my best friend. So she came over and checked on me, and I made us dinner. And then that Monday, I had to put my car in the shop, and she ended up picking me up from work and taking me to the mall with her and her daughter. And, we looked at clothes, and I actually, bought some like women's clothes and shopped in stores I've never shopped in. And that was the first day I felt like I was part of something other than myself, I guess. And so, I won't say I didn't feel suicidal still, but I will say I felt, better. Since then, I am back on all my medication, back on all my diabetes medication. I'm back on my antidepressant. I'm seeing a psychiatrist now. I have a new therapist, someone that's helping me process all of my personality disorders, somebody that's helping me, deal with my anxiety, my depression, my PTSD, somebody that is helping me, map out my negative thinking patterns. We've done a social history, so like literally from the day I was born and where I was born, discovered some things. I was apparently molested by the time I was 5 years old. I was abused often as a child, so I'm processing that and learning that sometimes when I react, it's not 36-year-old Amanda that's reacting. It's the 9-year-old that used to get beat so hard that she threw up or coughed up blood. And so, just working through all that, we've did a relationship history, and working on reading some books and doing some journaling. I'm writing again, so if you are on my social media, or you can go to my YouTube channel, there's links in my bio. I'll post the links. I've been writing again. I wrote an awesome poem for Starbucks. Everybody's calling it like a rap. It's gotten like 7,000 views on the Starbucks page. And I've been writing some other poems. I wrote a poem about my suicide attempt. And for the first time in my life, I mean, I'm 36 years old, and I'm finally validating everything that's happened to me. I'm saying the things out loud. I've been telling some friends about, how I had basically plotted out my suicide, and just really being really open and honest about everything, and just really trying to put my life back together. Cleaned my apartment, organized my clothes. I actually have furniture. I mean, it's just I've been doing so many things, and again, the further I get from my old life, it's very hard to adjust to my new normal. And I'm still working right now. I don't have coronavirus. I work for a very amazing company that's taking care of us. I love what I do. Like I said, I wrote a poem about Starbucks. I have another one I've written that I'm going to be recording hopefully tomorrow. And I'm just, I'm really passionate about life right now. And because of what happened, I'm spoiling my dogs rotten, because literally I was one step away from taking my own life. And so I very much know what it feels like. And I will tell you that after having conversations with my psychiatrist and my therapist, that people that kill themselves, it's not because they're weak. It's not because they're giving up. But it was the one thing I felt like I could do to really take control. And, for everyone that I've hurt, I'm sorry. For anyone that's, been on the other end of, my black and white thinking, where I'm afraid to be wrong, for all that, I'm sorry. For anybody I've ever gotten in an argument with, or, I've made you feel, insignificant, I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm going to be working through all of this, and I'm hoping I can come up with some things to help other people. Let your mess be your message. And I am not going to get stuck in my mess, but I plan on just really being open and honest about it, and just helping others, and just be really vulnerable about everything. And so I'm very sorry. If I mean anything to you, if you're happy to have me here, leave me a message, leave me a comment, DM me. You can thank my best friend, Christy. She's literally been there for me. And there's been other friends that have helped me, research how to fire my therapist, and research, what questions to ask my new therapist. I've been hanging out, doing a little, not like socializing with a bunch of people, but, I have a, a select group of people. I have allergies. It's not coronavirus, I promise. That's a whole nother story. But I've been, basically using my outlets, my friends, to help me put my life back together. And I feel like I'm in a really great place now. I'm going to be back on social media. I've been able to accomplish a lot by not being on social media. Obviously, I'm not distracted, and not spending hours at a time on social media. I will be very straightforward, and I'll tell you that even though I gave up social media for Lent, I at one point fasted for 4 days because my girlfriend broke up with me and I literally didn't have an appetite. And then I was just kind of like trying to prove like how much willpower I had. So I fasted for 4 solid days, just water fasting. I actually lost like 7 pounds in 4 days, and I was down to 230 pounds. I was really proud of myself. I'm an addict. I've slipped up. So basically, Lent is over, and so Lent is over. I'm back on social media, but I'm going to be starting over again. So, day 1 of my sobriety, and I'm up to 252 pounds, and not happy about that. I undid, a year and a half of work in like 6 months. But, one of the things I've talked about with my new therapist is the 5 steps of change. And I've done it before. I can do it again. And this time it's going to be a lasting effect. And so I really, after being in therapy for like 3 years and not even knowing that personality disorders or distortions, existed. Like I didn't know that there was like black and white thinking, and I didn't know there was this, have to be right thinking. And so as we go through them, we're also trying to figure out like, so why do I have the need to be right? Why is it that I have to argue, or I have to always be right? Well, because if I was wrong as a child, I was beat, and not like spanked. Like I was literally like, beat till I vomited, till I'm crying, till I'm throwing up blood. I mean, there was just so many things. And I'm not in any way, shape, or form really trying to get revenge or anything like that. I think it's a little too late for that. But in a way, I do want to share my story and bring light to things and validate it and help others. And, I this is the first time in my life I'm validating that I'm saying out loud that all this stuff that I've buried happened. And so be patient with me as we go through this. I am writing again. I'm working on my book. So for those of you that pre-ordered my book, I promise you will not be disappointed. And it's I'm literally retracing my entire life. So bear with me. And I appreciate you for all your support. For those of you that found a way to reach out to me while I was gone, for those of you that have been there, just know that I am here. I'm back. I'm strong. I've got a great support system now, and I'm back in church. And I'm really going to hold on to that. I gave my life to God. I smudged my apartment. And I'm just doing a lot of things to get my life back together. So thanks for coming to my Amanda talk, and I'll be back with you guys in a little bit.